The message came at 2:14 in the morning when the house was quiet enough to hear my own breathing. I thought it was a wrong number. I almost deleted it. Then I read the words again. Don't expect me to take care of you in old age. I have my own life and family. My son wrote that. The same boy whose fevered forehead I cooled with wet cloths. The same boy who used to crawl into my bed after nightmares. My hands started shaking so badly, I had to sit down on the edge of my bed, afraid my knees would give out. Before we go any further, let me ask you something. Where are you listening from today? If this story touches your heart, please share your thoughts in the comments and send it to a friend who might need to hear it. My name is Clara. And today, I'm telling you about the night my son broke my heart with a single message. The house smelled faintly of lavender cleaner. I had scrubbed the kitchen earlier, trying to keep busy because sleep wouldn't come. The old clock in the hallway ticked louder than usual, like it was counting something I didn't want to face. I read his message again, slowly, carefully. Like maybe I had misunderstood. But the words didn't change. I didn't cry right away. That came later. At first I just sat there, staring at my phone like it was something poisonous. My son's name is Daniel, he's 32, married, one child. My only child. People think when your child grows up you stop worrying. That's a lie. You just worry differently. Before that night my life was simple. Quiet. Predictable. I wake up around 6 every morning, even though I'm retired now. Old habits die hard. I make coffee, sit by the window and watch the neighbor's cat climb the same fence every day. I water my plants, listen to the radio and fold laundry even when there's barely any. Daniel calls me once a week, Sundays usually. Hi, Mom. Always rushed. But I never complained. When he married Emily 3 years ago, I told myself things would change. That's normal, a wife, a baby, responsibilities. I tried to be understanding. Emily isn't a bad person. She's polite, organized, keeps their house spotless. But she never really looks at me. Not in the eyes. It's like she's always measuring something. I remember the first Thanksgiving after they married. I brought sweet potato pie, Daniel's favorite since he was little. Emily smiled and said, "Oh, I already made dessert." Then she placed my pie in the fridge untouched. We never ate it. Daniel didn't notice. Or maybe he pretended not to. Still, I stayed quiet. Mothers learn to swallow things. I used to babysit their son, Noah, every Thursday. Those were my happiest days. Noah smells like baby shampoo and warm milk. He grips my finger like I'm the most important person in the world. But slowly those days disappeared. Emily's mom will help this week. Emily wants a nanny. Maybe next time, Mom. I nodded every time. Pretended it didn't hurt. So when Daniel texted me that night, part of me wasn't surprised. But still, seeing it written like that, so cold, so final, I typed back, deleted, typed again. Did I do something wrong? The dots appeared, then disappeared, then nothing. I waited. 5 minutes, 10, 30. My tea went cold on the nightstand. I didn't even remember making it. Finally, another message came. "Mom, don't make this emotional, I'm just being honest. Emily and I have our own plans. You should prepare your own arrangements." Own arrangements. Like I was a stranger. My chest tightened. I felt stupid for crying now. Tears slid down my face and dropped onto my phone screen. I thought about my husband, Richard. He passed away 8 years ago from a heart attack. Daniel was 24 then. We held each other at the funeral like 2 lost children. That night Daniel slept in my bed. Just like when he was little. He promised me, "I'll always be here, Mom." And now, I didn't reply. What could I say? The next morning, sunlight came through the curtains like nothing had happened. The world didn't care. I made toast, burnt it. Didn't bother making another. My neighbor, Mrs. Parker, waved from her porch. "Morning, Clara." I waved back and forced a smile. People don't know what's breaking inside you. I decided to call Daniel. My hands were sweaty as I held the phone. It rang. Once, twice, 3 times. Voicemail. "Hi Mom, leave a message." His voice sounded normal, happy. I hung up. Later that afternoon, Emily posted pictures online. Her and Daniel at a restaurant. Smiling. Caption: family time. I stared at that word. Family. Did that include me anymore? That evening I finally got a call. "Mom." Daniel's voice sounded tired. "Daniel," I said, trying to keep my voice steady, "can we talk about your message?" Silence. Then a sigh. "I knew you called. Why would you write something like that to me?" My voice cracked. "I hated that." "Mom, I'm just being realistic. Emily and I have responsibilities. Noah needs us. We can't be worrying about extra stuff." "Extra?" I repeated. "Am I extra?" "That's not what I meant." He sounded annoyed now. "You always twist things." I closed my eyes. "I never asked you to take care of me, not once." "But you expect it," he said quickly. "Every parent does." "No," I whispered. "I just expected love." He didn't answer right away. Then he said, "Emily thinks you rely on me too much." My stomach dropped. "She thinks So this is Emily talking." "No, Mom, it's me." He rushed. "I feel this way too. Lies don't always sound like lies. But I knew my son. When did I rely on you too much?" I asked. "You get sad when I can't visit. You mention how lonely you are. It makes me feel guilty. So I should pretend I'm not lonely?" I asked. He didn't answer. "Daniel, you're all I have. And that's the problem." He snapped. "You shouldn't put all that on me." I held the phone away from my ear. My hands were shaking. "I never asked you to carry my life," I said quietly. "I just wanted to be part of yours." Silence again. Then his voice softened. "Mom, things change." "Yes," I said. "They do." After we hung up, I sat there for a long time. The clock ticked. Same sound as last night. I walked into Daniel's old room. I never changed it. His trophies still on the shelf. Soccer, spelling bee, science fair. I touched one gently. I remembered sitting in the rain during his games. Holding an umbrella. Yelling his name. Who was I yelling for now? That night I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about Emily. About her quiet smiles. Her careful words. I wondered what she really said about me. What she told my son when I wasn't there. Because sons don't wake up one day and talk like that to their mothers. Someone plants those thoughts. And that's when something shifted inside me. Not anger. Not yet. But awareness. I realized this wasn't just about a message. This was about being slowly erased. And I wasn't ready to disappear. The next morning I woke up with a strange heaviness in my chest, like I had swallowed a stone in my sleep. For a moment I forgot everything. Then I reached for my phone on the nightstand, saw Daniel's name in my recent calls, and it all came back. The message, the phone call, his voice saying I was extra. I sat up slowly, rubbing my temples. My head ached. Outside, birds chirped like it was any other ordinary day. I envied them. They didn't carry memories. They didn't replay conversations. I made myself oatmeal but barely touched it. My hands kept shaking. I tried to tell myself I was overreacting. He didn't mean it like that. He was stressed. Parenthood changes people, marriage changes people. But no matter how I twisted it, the words stayed sharp. Don't expect me to take care of you. I looked around my little kitchen. The chipped mug Richard bought me from a garage sale, the calendar still on last month because I forgot to change it. This was my life now, quiet, small, and suddenly I felt very old. Around noon my friend Margaret called. We've been friends since our kids were in kindergarten. She can hear sadness in my voice even when I lie. Clara, what's wrong? She asked. Nothing, I said quickly, just tired. She laughed softly. You've used that excuse for 30 years, try again. I hesitated, my mouth opened, and before I could stop myself, everything poured out. The message, the call, Emily's name, the word extra. Margaret didn't interrupt. When I finished, she was quiet for a few seconds. That boy, she finally said, has no idea how lucky he is. Don't blame him, I said, he's got his own life. So do you, she replied, but you don't stop loving your child just because you're busy. I sighed, maybe I leaned on him too much. Clara, you lost your husband, that changes you, that doesn't make you needy, that makes you human. Her words made my eyes burn. Do you think Emily put this in his head? I asked quietly. Margaret hesitated. I won't speak badly about your daughter-in-law, but some women don't understand a mother's bond. That night I kept thinking about Emily, about every little moment I brushed off, the way she'd take Noah from my arms quickly, the way she'd sigh when I mentioned missing Daniel, the way she once joked, "You should get a hobby, Clara." Maybe I should have paid attention sooner. A week passed, Daniel didn't call. Neither did I. Pride is a strange thing, it hurts but you hold on to it anyway. On Sunday, like clockwork, my phone rang. "Hi Mom," Daniel said. "Hi," I replied. "How are you?" "Fine." Another lie. We talked about the weather, about Noah learning new words, about work, safe topics, shallow topics like strangers. Then I took a deep breath. "Daniel, did Emily tell you to write that message?" He paused. I could almost hear him choosing his words. "She didn't tell me to, we talked about it." "So it was her idea?" "No," he insisted, "it was mutual." I closed my eyes. What did she say about me? Another pause. "She thinks you depend on me emotionally, that it's not healthy." "Is that what you think?" I asked. "I don't know anymore," he admitted. "I just want peace in my house." That sentence hurt more than anything. Peace in his house meant conflict with me. "I never wanted to disturb your peace," I whispered. "Mom." "No, Daniel," I interrupted gently. "I understand, I really do. You have a wife, a child, I'm just the past." "That's not true." But he didn't sound convincing. After we hung up, I sat in my living room staring at a framed photo. Daniel at 7, missing his front tooth, his arm wrapped around my neck, his smile wide and careless. I thought about all the sacrifices I never mentioned, the nights I worked overtime, the meals I skipped, the dreams I let go of. Not because I wanted something back, but because that's what mothers do. And now I felt foolish for expecting something, even respect. A few days later, Emily texted me. "Hi Clara, just checking in, hope you're well." I stared at the message. No heart emoji. No warmth. I replied politely. "I'm okay, thank you." Then she sent another message. "Daniel told me you were upset. I'm sorry if anything came out wrong." I took a deep breath. My fingers hovered over the screen. "Why do you think I rely on him too much?" I finally typed. Her response came quickly. "It's not personal, we just want boundaries." Boundaries? Such a cold word. "Between a mother and her son?" I asked. "Between adults," she replied. "We're building our own family." I didn't respond after that. What could I say? I wasn't part of that own family anymore. That night I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about the word boundaries. When Daniel was sick as a child, I didn't have boundaries. When he broke his arm, I didn't say, "This is your problem now." But I bit my tongue. This was their world now. And I was just a visitor. A few weeks later, Daniel invited me over for dinner. Emily's idea, he said. She wants to clear the air. I didn't know if I should go. Part of me wanted to hide, another part wanted answers. So I went. Their house smelled like roasted chicken and lemon cleaner. Emily greeted me with a stiff hug. Clara, she said, come in. Noah was on the floor playing with blocks. When he saw me, his face lit up. Grandma, he shouted, running to me. I picked him up, kissing his cheek. That little boy didn't know about boundaries. Dinner was awkward. Small talk, forced smiles. Finally, Emily cleared her throat. So, she said, folding her napkin carefully, I think we should talk openly. Daniel nodded. I stayed quiet. Clara, Emily continued, we care about you, but Daniel feels pressured sometimes. Pressured to what? I asked calmly. To be your emotional support system, she said. I laughed softly, not because it was funny. Because it hurt. I lost my husband, I said. I don't have parents anymore. Daniel is my son, of course I talk to him. But it affects him, she replied. He comes home worried after your calls. Daniel looked down at his plate. Daniel, I said, is that true? He hesitated. Sometimes. Because I say I miss you. Because I say I'm lonely. Is that a crime? Emily sighed. You make him feel responsible for your happiness. I leaned back in my chair. My hands were calm now. My heart was. I am responsible for my happiness, I said slowly, but I'm allowed to feel. Silence filled the room. Maybe, Emily said, you should focus more on your own life. My life. I smiled sadly. This is my life. Noah tugged at my sleeve. Grandma, play. I picked him up again, pressing my face into his soft hair. At least someone wanted me. After dinner, I hugged Daniel goodbye. It felt distant, like hugging a cousin. In the car, I cried. Not loud, just quiet tears. Because I knew something had changed forever. And I didn't know how to fix it. Driving home that night, the streetlights blurred through my tears. I kept both hands tight on the steering wheel, afraid if I loosened my grip, I might fall apart completely. The radio played some old love song Richard used to hum while washing dishes, and I had to turn it off. The silence felt safer. When I reached my house, I sat in the car for a long time. The engine ticked as it cooled, a soft clicking sound like a countdown. I didn't want to go inside. Inside meant being alone with my thoughts. But eventually I forced myself out. The porch light flickered as I unlocked the door. Same routine, same quiet, same emptiness. I dropped my purse on the table and leaned my forehead against the wall. Get it together, Clara, I whispered. I went to bed without changing my clothes. That night I dreamed of Daniel as a little boy again. He was standing in the rain, holding his broken umbrella, crying because he missed the school bus. I ran to him, pulled him close, told him everything would be okay. When I woke up, my pillow was wet. Days passed, then weeks. We went back to polite distance. Daniel called less. Emily never texted again. I kept myself busy, joined a small book club at the library, started walking in the mornings, tried to fill the silence. But loneliness isn't cured by activities. It waits for you at night. One afternoon, Margaret came over with cookies. You look thinner, she said. I'm fine, I replied, pouring tea. She watched me closely. You're breaking quietly. I didn't answer. Clara, she said, have you thought about what you want? I want my son, I whispered. She reached across the table and squeezed my hand. That might not look the same anymore. Her words stayed with me. That evening, I got a message from Daniel. Mom, we're planning a family vacation, 2 weeks in Florida, just us. I stared at the screen. Sounds nice, I typed. Yeah, we won't be available much. So he warned me in advance. Not to bother him. I didn't reply. Instead, I opened my old photo albums. Pictures of Daniel as a baby. His first birthday. His graduation. I realized something. Every memory was about him. I barely existed in my own story. Who was Clara without motherhood? The next day I visited my doctor for a routine checkup. My blood pressure was high. Stress, he said, you need to slow down. I almost laughed. Slow down from what? Loneliness. That night I made a decision. A small one, but important. I wrote Daniel a letter. Not a text. A real letter. My handwriting was shaky. Dear Daniel, I want you to know I love you without conditions. I don't expect you to take care of me. I just hope to stay part of your life. I'm sorry if I ever made you feel pressured. That was never my intention. Love, Mom. I sealed it and mailed it the next morning. Then I waited. Days passed. No response. 1 week. 2 weeks. Finally, I got a call. Mom, Daniel said, I got your letter. My heart jumped. And I appreciate it, he said. Emily read it too. I swallowed. What did she say? She thinks it's good you understand boundaries now. Understand boundaries. Again. Daniel, I said softly, do you want me in your life? Yes, he said quickly. Of course. Then why does it feel like you're pushing me out? Silence. I don't know, he admitted. It's complicated. Everything is complicated, I said. That doesn't mean you stop caring. He didn't answer. After the call, I felt tired. Not angry. Just worn out. That weekend I went to church. I hadn't gone in months. The hymns felt familiar like old friends. After service, a woman I barely knew came up to me. You're Clara, right? She asked. I'm Susan. She told me about a community group for seniors. They meet weekly, talk, share meals. You should come, she said. We take care of each other. Take care of each other. The words stayed with me. So I went. The group met in a small hall, folding chairs, coffee in a big thermos, people laughing about their grandchildren, their aches, their regrets. For the first time in a long time, I felt seen. One man, George, joked, our kids think we stopped existing once they grew up. Everyone laughed. But it wasn't really funny. I started going every week. Slowly my days felt less empty. But then something happened. One afternoon I received an email. From Daniel. Subject important. My heart raced as I opened it. Mom, Emily and I have been talking. We think it's best if you don't depend on us at all going forward. We need to focus on our nuclear family. This doesn't mean we don't love you. We just need space. Space. I read it again. And again. This time I didn't cry. I felt numb. Not depend on us at all asterisk. I called him immediately. Daniel, I said, trying to stay calm, what does this mean? It means, he replied, you should plan your future independently. Independently from my own son. Yes, he said. Daniel, when I get sick, who do I call? You can call emergency services, he said quickly. Or a neighbor. My chest felt tight. So I'm a stranger now? I asked. No, Mom, don't twist it. You're the one twisting, I said. You're pushing me away. Emily's voice suddenly came on the line. Clara, we're not pushing you away. We just want healthy distance. Healthy for who? I asked. For us, she replied. I laughed bitterly. Of course. Daniel needs to focus on his family, she continued. You had your turn. I went quiet. My turn. I whispered. You think motherhood has an expiration date? She didn't answer. Daniel took the phone back. Mom, please don't make this hard. Hard. I asked. You just told me I'm on my own. Silence. I hung up. That night I sat on my bed holding my phone. I wanted to throw it, but instead I opened my notes app. And I wrote. I wrote every memory, every sacrifice, every tear. Not to send, just to release. And then something inside me changed. Not rage, not revenge. Strength. I realized I couldn't beg my son to love me. I couldn't compete with his wife. But I could choose myself. The next day I met with a financial advisor. I asked about retirement plans, long-term care, living options. If my son didn't want responsibility, I would take it. And I wouldn't make him feel guilty for it. But deep inside, something was breaking. Not loudly, quietly. A mother learning to live without expectations. I never thought I'd sit across a stranger in a stiff office chair and talk about what would happen to me when I couldn't walk on my own anymore. But there I was, staring at a framed mountain picture on the wall while a financial advisor clicked numbers on his computer. So Clara, he said gently, do you have family support? I hesitated. Yes and no. He didn't push. We'll focus on your independence, he said. That way you won't have to rely on anyone. That word again. Rely. I nodded. If that was what Daniel wanted, then that's what he'd get. I went through my savings, my pension, my house. We talked about assisted living, home care, emergency funds. It felt like planning my own funeral, just slower. When I got home, I felt drained, but also proud. For the first time, I wasn't waiting for Daniel's approval. I was choosing myself. Weeks passed. No calls from him. No texts. Emily posted pictures from Florida. Smiling faces. Beach sunsets. I didn't look twice. Instead, I started spending more time with the senior group. Susan, George, a widow named Helen who laughed too loudly. They became my routine. One afternoon, Helen said, "You're glowing, Clara." I laughed. "I'm not glowing, I'm surviving." She smiled. "Same thing. But life has a funny way of testing you." One rainy evening, I slipped in my kitchen. My foot caught on the rug and I went down hard. My hip hit the floor first. The pain shot through me like fire. I lay there gasping. The clock ticked. Same clock, same sound. My phone was on the counter. Too far. For the first time, fear hit me. Real fear. "Daniel," I whispered. Not because I expected him, but because he was my instinct. After a few minutes, I managed to crawl to the counter and grab my phone. My hands shook as I dialed emergency services. The ambulance came quickly. Cold rain on my face. Bright lights. At the hospital, they told me it was a bad bruise, no fracture. I was lucky. Lucky. As I lay there, a nurse asked, "Anyone you want to call?" I paused. "My son," I said quietly. She handed me the phone. It rang. Once. Twice. Voicemail. I didn't leave a message. I went home alone. The next day, Daniel called. "Mom, I saw a missed call. Everything okay?" "Yes," I said. "A lie. Again. You sure?" "Yes." I didn't tell him about the fall. Not because I was strong, but because I was tired of feeling like a burden. That night I cried harder than I had in months. Not because of the pain, but because I realized something. I had started hiding my life from my own son. That's when I knew. This wasn't healthy distance. This was abandonment. A week later, I got an invitation. Noah's birthday party. Emily sent it. Formal. Like a work email. I almost didn't go. But I bought a gift anyway, a small train set. Noah loves trains. When I arrived, their backyard was full of balloons, kids screaming, music playing. Daniel smiled when he saw me. It felt forced. "Mom," he said, hugging me lightly. Emily nodded. "Hi, Clara." I watched her interact with her mother, laughing, hugging, so she understood closeness. Just not with me. During the party, I stayed near Noah. He pulled my hand. "Grandma, look." I smiled. "Wow, Noah." Emily watched us from a distance, her face unreadable. At one point, I overheard her talking to a friend. "Daniel's mom can be too much," she said. "She doesn't have her own life." My chest tightened. I didn't confront her. I just walked away. Later, I sat alone at a table, watching everyone. That's when Daniel came over. "Mom," he said quietly, "we need to talk." My heart sank. "Not again." "Okay," I said. He sat down. "I know things have been weird." Weird. That was his word for heartbreak. "I don't want to lose you," he said. "But I can't upset Emily." There it was. The truth. "So you choose her," I said. "It's not choosing," he insisted. "It's balancing." "Balance," I said, "means both sides matter." He looked down. "Do I matter?" I asked. He didn't answer. That silence was my answer. I stood up slowly. "My hip still hurts," I said casually. "I fell last week." His eyes widened. "What? Why didn't you tell me?" "Because you asked me not to rely on you," I said. "Remember?" He looked ashamed. "Mom, that's not what I meant." "But that's what you said," I replied. Emily walked over. "Everything okay?" "Clara fell," Daniel said. Her face tightened. "Oh, sorry to hear." "Sorry to hear." That was it. No concern. No follow-up. I smiled politely. "I'm fine." Inside I was. That night after the party I wrote something else. Not a letter. A boundary. I decided to stop chasing my son. Stop explaining myself. Stop shrinking. If he wanted space, I would give it. But not by disappearing. I would live. Fully. And if he wanted to be part of that, the door would be open. But I wouldn't stand by it anymore. The week after Noah's birthday, I didn't call Daniel. And he didn't call me. At first it felt strange, like forgetting to water a plant you've tended every day for years. My hands kept reaching for my phone without me realizing it, but each time I stopped myself. No more chasing. No more begging for space in his life. Instead, I filled my days. I started volunteering at the local food bank twice a week, sorting cans, packing boxes, listening to stories from people who had lost more than I ever had. It grounded me. Pain has a way of shrinking when you see others carrying heavier loads. One woman about my age told me, "My son hasn't spoken to me in 3 years." I swallowed. "At least mine still knows I exist," I said. She smiled sadly. "Hold on to that." I also joined a painting class at the community center. I was terrible at it. My trees looked like broccoli, my sunsets like spilled juice, but I laughed, for real laughter, the kind that shakes your shoulders. One afternoon, while washing paint off my hands, I caught my reflection in the mirror. I looked different. Not younger, but stronger. Then, out of nowhere, Daniel called. "Mom," he said, sounding unsure, "how have you been?" "I've been busy," I replied. And for once it wasn't a lie. "Busy?" he asked. "Yes," I said. "I volunteer now, I paint, I go out with friends." There was a pause. "Oh," he said. Like he didn't expect that. "How about you?" I asked. Good, he replied. Work Noah, same stuff. We talked for a few minutes. Polite. Surface level. Then he said, Emily thinks you're upset with us. I'm not upset, I said honestly. I'm just living. That sounds different, he said. It is, I replied. After we hung up, I felt something I hadn't felt in months. Control. Not over him. Over myself. But life doesn't let you heal without testing you again. One evening, I got a call from the hospital. Is this Clara? Yes. We're calling about your son Daniel. My heart jumped into my throat. What happened? He was in a minor car accident. He's okay, but we need family here. I didn't hesitate. I grabbed my coat and keys. At the hospital, the smell of disinfectant hit me. Memories flooded back. Richard, that night, the waiting room. Daniel was sitting on a bed with a bandage on his forehead. Emily was there, arms crossed. When he saw me, his eyes softened. Mom, he said. I rushed over and hugged him. For the first time in a long time, he hugged me back. You scared me, I whispered. I'm fine, he said, just a scratch. Emily watched us. Silent. When the doctor left, Daniel looked at me. I called you, he said, not Emily's mom, you. That hit me harder than anything. Why, I asked. Because, he hesitated. You're my mom. I smiled through tears. On the way home, Emily sat in the front seat, Daniel in the back with me. She turned around. Thank you for coming, she said. It wasn't warm. But it wasn't cold either. You're welcome, I replied. For a moment the car was quiet. Then Emily said something that shocked me. I didn't realize how much you meant to him, she said quietly. Daniel looked up. What? When you walked in, she continued, you calmed him, I couldn't. My chest tightened. Daniel looked embarrassed. I guess it's different with Mom. Emily nodded slowly. I see that now. It wasn't an apology. But it was something. After that night, Daniel started calling a little more. Not like before. But better. We talked about normal things. I didn't complain. Didn't hint. Just listened. One day he said, Mom, I was wrong. My heart skipped. About what? I asked. About pushing you away, he said. I didn't realize how harsh it sounded. I didn't celebrate. Didn't cry. I just said, thank you for saying that. He was quiet. Emily and I are trying to figure things out, he added. I hope you do, I replied. And I meant it. Weeks later, Emily invited me for coffee. Just me. No Daniel. We sat across from each other at a small cafe. The smell of roasted beans filled the air. I need to say something, she said, twisting her cup. I felt threatened. By me, I asked calmly. She nodded. By how much Daniel cares about you. I stayed quiet. I didn't grow up close to my parents, she continued, so I didn't understand your bond. That bond doesn't disappear, I said. It just changes. She nodded slowly. I'm sorry, she finally said. Not loud. Not dramatic. But real. Thank you, I replied. We sat in silence for a while. I don't want to compete with you, she said. I never wanted to compete, I replied. I just wanted to belong. She looked at me. You do. That day something shifted. Not perfect. Not healed. But softer. I didn't become part of their daily life again. But I wasn't invisible anymore. And that was enough. After that coffee with Emily, I walked home slowly, letting the cool air brush against my face. I wasn't smiling. I wasn't crying. I just felt lighter, like I had been carrying a heavy bag for months and finally set it down. Things didn't magically become perfect after that. But they became honest. Daniel started calling every Wednesday evening, not rushed, not distracted. Sometimes we talked about Noah, sometimes about his job, sometimes about nothing important at all. And those were my favorite calls. One night he asked, "Mom, are you happy?" I paused. "I'm learning how to be," I said. "That sounds good," he replied. "It is," I said. I didn't mention my classes or volunteering. I didn't need to prove anything anymore. My life was mine. Emily also changed, slowly. She started including me in small things, pictures of Noah's drawings, a text asking for a recipe, nothing big but meaningful. One afternoon she called, "Clara, can you watch Noah on Saturday?" My heart jumped. "Of course," I said. When she dropped him off, she looked nervous. "I'll be back by 6, she said. "Take your time," I replied. "He's safe." And he was. We built train tracks. We ate cookies before dinner. We laughed. When Emily came back, she watched us quietly. "Thank you," she said. "Not stiff this time." "Warm." "You're welcome," I replied. After they left, I sat on the couch and closed my eyes. I felt full, not dependent, not desperate, just grateful. But life had one more test waiting. One morning I woke up dizzy, the room spun. My chest felt tight, I tried to stand and nearly fell. This time I didn't hesitate. I called Daniel. He answered on the second ring. "Mom, I don't feel well," I said. My voice was weak. "I'm coming," he said immediately. And he did. He drove me to the hospital, held my hand while we waited. Emily arrived later with Noah. Tests showed it was a mild heart issue, manageable but scary. The doctor said, "You'll need help for a few days." Daniel looked at me. "I'll stay with you," he said. Emily nodded. "We'll take turns." Tears filled my eyes. Not because I needed them, but because they chose me. For 3 days Daniel slept on my couch, made me soup, checked my medicine. We watched old movies together. "You used to make me watch this," he laughed. "And you loved it," I teased. "I pretended not to," he smiled. On the third night he got quiet. "Mom, I need to say something." I looked at him. When I sent that message I was angry, stressed, and scared. "Of what?" I asked. "Of failing," he admitted. "As a husband, as a father, I thought I had to choose." "You don't," I said softly. "Love isn't a competition." "I know that now," he whispered. "I'm sorry." I reached for his hand. "I forgive you." And I meant it. Emily came the next morning with breakfast. She hugged me. "I was wrong," she said, "about a lot of things." "We all are sometimes," I replied. She smiled. After they left, I sat alone again. But this time the silence didn't hurt. Because I knew. I wasn't erased. I wasn't extra. I was loved. But I had also learned something important. Love shouldn't cost your dignity. And you shouldn't beg for a place in someone's heart. I loved my son. But I also loved myself now. And that made all the difference. Life didn't suddenly turn perfect after my health scare. But it became real again. Daniel kept his promise, he called regularly. Sometimes he visited after work just to sit and talk. No rush, no phone in his hand, just my son listening. One evening, he helped me change a light bulb in the hallway, the same hallway where that clock still ticked loudly every night. "You still haven't fixed this thing," he said, pointing at the clock. "I like it," I replied. "It reminds me time is moving, so I should too." He smiled. Emily also softened. She invited me to small family dinners, not big events, just quiet meals. We talked about recipes, about Noah's school, about work stress. She even asked me once, "How did you manage being a single mom?" That question meant everything. "I didn't manage," I replied honestly. "I survived day by day." She nodded slowly. "I'm scared of messing up." "So was I," said. You still will, but love covers a lot. She looked at me differently after that. Not as competition, not as a threat, but as someone who walked the road before her. One afternoon, while watching Noah color, he suddenly looked up and said, "Grandma, Daddy says you're strong." I smiled. Did he? Yes, he nodded. He said you're brave. My throat tightened. Daniel had said that. About me. That night I sat alone with a cup of tea. Same chipped mug, same quiet house, but something was different. The silence didn't feel empty anymore. It felt peaceful. I thought about that message again. Don't expect me to take care of you. If I'm honest, it changed me. It forced me to stop building my future around my child. It forced me to choose myself. And maybe that was the real lesson. I still love my son deeply, but I don't need him to survive. I have friends, purposes, a life, and that makes our relationship healthier. One day, Daniel said something that made me smile. "Mom, you seem happier." "I am," I replied. "Why?" "Because I stopped expecting," I said, "and started living." He nodded. "I'm glad." That's when I knew. We were okay. Not perfect, not storybook, but honest. And that's enough. As I sit here now, looking back at everything that happened, I realize something important. Sometimes the people we love the most will hurt us the deepest, not because they are evil, but because they are human, confused, afraid, learning life the hard way. My son didn't stop loving me. He just forgot how to show it for a while. And I almost lost myself waiting for him to remember. If you're listening to this and feeling forgotten by someone you raised, someone you sacrificed for, please hear me. You still matter. Your life still has purpose. Your story isn't over. Love your children, but don't disappear inside them. Build your own happiness, your own strength, your own world. Because when you do, love becomes a choice, not a need. So let me ask you something from the heart. What would you have done if you were in my place? Would you have walked away? Would you have forgiven? Or would you still be waiting? Tell me in the comments. I read every single one. And if this story touched you, please share it with someone who might need to hear it today. Subscribe and stay with me, because we all need a place where our stories are heard. This is Clara. Thank you for listening.